Excuse to annoy people, or a type of ship where there is a requirement of minimum two people on board. These ships can be either a good experience or a bad one, says Urban Dictionary. Or so the Google shows that the way in which two or more people are connected. Welcome, everybody, to our new show, Fancy That Podcast. Now, I'm your host, Saiful Kabir Ishti, and with me, I have Ashiq Rahman from Grumon. So,
Hello,
Ashiq, how are you?
I'm doing good. How about you? Thank you
I'm
for actually inviting me to the show.
okay. I'm really cool. I'm really cool. So, we have come together to talk about relationships. Tell
Right.
me something. What do you feel on relationships?
Well, it is one of the most important aspects of the whole existence. Like, if you just talk about relationships in general, everything is basically related to something else. Like, if you go to the atomic level, you have like atoms related to each other through different bonds. If you talk
Yes,
about human
yes,
beings, we have like, we are related to other people. There's always some sort of interaction going between us. Now, if you go to specific like human levels, we have to interact with people. The way we interact with other people is basically relationship. Now, there are different sorts of relationships, but I assume we're going to be talking about romantic relationships today, I guess.
yes, of course. So, Ashik, you've been a teen at a point, and so have I. And
Yep.
one of the most fancying part of being a teen is being attracted to the opposite sex.
Or
So,
maybe the same for some people. So we don't want to
yeah,
exclude them, right?
yeah, respect to all, respect to all.
Yep.
So, how was your teen? How actually your observations on girls were at the time?
Well, if you were specifically talking about my teen age, like my high school age and all that, it was quite bad in a sense that I did not have the courage to talk to women, girls in general, especially the ones that I have a crush on. So that was like my whole school and high school years, and it's kind of like a taboo. Sometimes that if you're a guy who's talking to a girl, like in the cultural environment where I've been raised up in, so it's a very conservative kind of situation where I grew up. So I had this you know, kind of shyness or lack of self confidence, especially when you're trying to talk to women. So I had to sort of, fight against that and
Okay,
grow my own self confidence. But then it took me around, it took me 2 or 3 years into college to get into an actual relationship, or date someone actually. So it was the first experience was kind of slow for me, because in some societies people are sort of, they get to dating and know about this sort of stuff or experiences from very early age, but I started that pretty late. And if you ask about my first relationship, how did it go? Well, there is a right way or wrong way to be in a relationship or date someone. So
okay,
even though I started late, I knew very less about this kind of stuff or how to interact with women, your
okay,
girlfriend, or probably someone who you're trying to impress. There are different ways to like interact with someone like that. So I did not have experience. So with lack of experience, I did the best I could, but it did not end as well as I expected. But it was fun.
that actually that actually is common for many different people all over the world of different cultures and norms, of course. So how was your first approach, like when you saw her? Were there violins, were there invisible violins
Oh,
on the background?
um, so not really.
Okay. Okay.
I wish. It was probably like a violence in my own mind
Okay.
thing that happens, but not in the background. So the way it started was very cliche because where I'm from, it's like people don't take Tinder seriously. So Facebook is like a kind of like a dating app.
Okay.
So we started talking in Facebook, and then okay, we started liking each other, became almost boyfriend girlfriends before we actually started to meet up on a date, which is
Okay.
kind of wrong way to go, but that's how it started. There are
Okay.
people who talk in like phone, talk on the phone, and then become like come in a relationship before having their first meeting, sort of like that, which is not the best way, but it was what it was. So.
Okay, so how did it actually go? Like, was it a really long-lasting and good one, or
Well, um, I don't know if that was long lasting. It was like 1.5 years I dated her. Um, I don't know if that is long lasting. It is
okay,
not long lasting compared to married couples, and
sure,
very long lasting compared to people who have like 1 month relationships. They break up after their month
definitely, definitely.
anniversary. So, no offense,
I know
but
many people with that record.
whatever floats their boat, right? I'm the one to judge. So, but yeah, so the length, whether it is long or short, depends on comparison. But the point is, it was fun because it was the first relationship, and we are usually, that is kind of like the age where we have like hormones, uh, we need to be in a relationship. It is kind of like a fashion to be in a relationship. It was fun. The dating aspect, the problem was I was very immature because my age was kind of comparatively low at that time. So even though I was like, I thought like mature people in other aspects of my life at that time, but this is something that I was completely oblivious or without any experience. So due to my maturity, I would say most of the times things would be like we would fight like
Okay,
normal couples do. Most couples like fight, and people think that that is totally normal. That don't in a relationship, that relationship is boring. Absolutely wrong.
okay,
I used to believe that, and the way it started was we did not fight first few months of the relationship. Okay, then after that it started that we'd fight once a week over
okay,
random stuff. Okay,
okay,
people fight over random stuff. I'm like, okay, that makes the relationship sweeter. That was my belief as well.
okay,
So, and then I let it happen. But then as time passed by, the frequency or the number of fights per week increased. So there would be time where we'd be fighting or arguing over random stuff. I would get offended over random stuff. I had this anger issue at that time. I'd be angry over and upset over that, which is totally bad thing to do if you're, especially if you're a guy.
okay,
So I used to get upset and angry over random stuff, and then she would reciprocate the emotion herself. Things would go like a mirror, bouncing
okay,
back and forth. Okay, so we'd be fighting 6 days in a week, and the one day that we don't fight, that would be the day when she would block me on Facebook and social media, so that we'd have no contact. That I have to apologize. She would have to apologize and stuff like that. This thing went on. So in the end, it did not work out for obvious
so
reasons.
so it ended on a bad term.
It ended on a bad term. I finally had the balls to move on.
Okay,
She wanted to continue, but then after that, I wanted to continue, and then she moved on. Which is good. Everything happens for a reason, and it's good that it did not continue because I had a lot of things to learn. So sometimes you would see that people get like they break up and then um, they patch up. They think that the other person has changed. Things would get better. It usually doesn't because the other person hasn't changed by then. It took me 2 years to change myself and come to an understanding that I right now have. Uh, so if I had patched up at that time back with her, it wouldn't work out, obviously. So that's about it.
Okay, so you've learned a lot from it, right?
Definitely. At
About
least I
life.
learned what my mistakes were.
Okay, that's a huge knowledge. That's the huge knowledge that not anyone without any experience would know.
I did
Definitely.
not know how to correct them though. Like I knew, learned what my mistakes were when I started learning. Okay, those are mistakes. At that time, I thought, oh, those are the correct things to do. But now I learned later.
Okay. So do you have any advice for our audience, and would you like to give a few points on how the perspective of relationship should be taken or should be taken care of?
Okay, so you mentioned a couple of definitions like Google and um Urban Dictionary definition. What about your like personal definition on relationships? Let me know.
Well, mine would be like a point at which a type of friendship in which two different people of different sexes or similar would be on a common understanding. They would have a strong bond between each other, so that um, one person can support the other on hardships and as well as the happy golden days. um, and and there should be faith
Right.
between those two people, and the faith should continue year after year after year, though there are some problems of getting used to and getting bored of relationships. But what I think, if people can continue it over time, it would be a really nice continuity of life for people. So the most important part is the continuity of being together. That's what I
Okay,
feel.
so that's what like many people feel as well. And then other people have different definitions of relationships, but
Yeah,
let me give you a
definitely.
classic definition of relationship. This
Yes,
is
yes,
I'm
please.
saying that classic because I learned this from a genuine relationship coach because I was so frustrated with my own experience that I actually was googling on YouTube how to find a girlfriend, and then I bumped on this relationship coach named Corey Wayne, and he has a book. So I read that book 8 times, which
Wow.
is weird because uh, people believe that relationship is something that should come naturally. But then I read that book and I learned how to be in a relationship the right way and the wrong way. So, according to the definition, which definitely makes sense, the definition is relationship is an opportunity for growth. Either you grow together or you grow apart. So, that is the number one thing that anyone in a relationship should understand. If they understand that relationship is an opportunity for growth, then he or she would help his or her contemporary other to grow, to like be the better versions of themselves. They'll support them, have faith in them. It would come naturally. But if they don't understand the point of being in a relationship, they'll feel like, oh, relationship, I have to talk 25 hours in a day with the other person and be in
Point,
like
point, strong point.
they would not care about the other person, even if their um, career and life and other aspects are getting um, affected by the relationship or negatively affected. If it is positively affected, that's awesome. If it's not, then you have to reconsider it. So that's the classic definition of a relationship. If you know that you are growing, good. If you think that you are not growing, you should grow apart. It should be totally fine to go each other separate ways. We feel like if we are in a relationship, the point is to stay together. But sometimes you should understand that if you're pulling a rope, sometimes it is easier to let go of the rope than keep holding on, especially if the rope is like causing bruise on your hand. So
Definitely.
that's why we should understand the fact that relationship is an opportunity for growth. Now, the second thing that I want to make others believe or understand that it is absolutely possible to learn how to be in a relationship. It comes naturally to us in a way because we have biologically hormonal surges, so we are compelled to get attracted towards our opposite gender or same gender for some people, but it should not come on autopilot. We should take control of that. Like if you have a self-driving car and you don't set up a GPS for that or location it and just tell it to drive, it would go nowhere.
Yeah,
So
definitely.
it's like the same thing for a relationship. Like you should take control of your relationship, especially if you're a guy. The ladies love if the guy's a leader. So that's one. The second thing that you have to learn how to be in a relationship. I learned it through reading a book. I strongly recommend that if you are in a relationship and if you are in pain, go for it. The rest of the things are minor, but I can tell you later.
So, with that, it is going to be a wrap from us, the hosts of Fancy That Podcast. So, till the next time, guys, we're signing off and see you on the next episode. Thank you for joining us.